Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so today, the agenda for today is demo the proxy cache. Proxy cache is the ability for Harbor to act as a pull-through cache for an upstream registry. It's something we plan to deliver for the 2.1 payload. Just quick announcements. We released the 201 and the 110.4. If you head over to the release page, the 201 has quite a few fixes for replication, trigger scanner. There's a little problem with the session timeout. So definitely check that out if you ran into any of these issues before. And now we're starting to look at the work for the 2.2. So on the Harbor project board, if you go into the main Harbor repo or the project page, and then click on projects, Harbor project board, you can start looking at some of the things that we're thinking about for 2.2. These aren't necessarily locked down, just some things that we've given priority to. There's also a whole list of features in the backlog here. And so if you have any requirements or feature requests from either the backlog or if it's something that's not captured here already, definitely raise a ticket to us. Just bring it up on the community meeting here. So you can see a few of the things that we're thinking about, like allowing the robot account to be shared across multiple projects. That's something that has been brought to our attention many times before. And then this one, define great access control. So this is in reference to adding additional granularity to Harbor multi-tenancy beyond what we have with just projects right now, right? So this is actually a pretty large, pretty ambitious feature request. It's not just asking for granular access, but the ability to create teams of users and robots that you can then attach to a set of projects through just notion of a workspace, right? So the idea is that all the users and all the robots in that workspace get a uniform set of permissions to those projects. And then exposing metrics to Prometheus. That's also something that we plan on doing for next release. You can see that it's been planned for quite some time already. And yeah, it's definitely something we're able to do. Prometheus has pretty good integration with Kubernetes already. So deploying Harbor as a Kubernetes cluster can easily expose from the core services, the endpoints, pausing REST, via service discovery to Prometheus. So that's definitely something we plan on tackling for the 2.2. The 2.2 is, the 2.1 comes out end of August, so the 2.2 is end of year, roughly. So that's all I had to share on the recent releases roadmap, and then we can take a look at the work that we did with the proxy cache. So here I have an environment with the proxy cache. So first thing to notice is that it looks just like a project. So we thought about whether to add proxy cache as a separate panel or separate entity parallel to projects, but we ended up just borrowing from the project's workflow. So basically, when you create a project, you have the ability to set this as a proxy cache, and then you can set from the list of endpoints here that you've configured as your registry's endpoints. Very similar to how you do with replication. Right? And so if we drill into it, we can see that proxy hub underscore proxy and proxy2 are of type proxy cache, and library is just a regular project. So if we click on that, there's an icon here that indicates that it's a proxy cache. It's also there's proxy cache here. So we have an image here left on void. Let's see how it works. So let's leave that first. And so basically, I want to pull an image from Docker Hub. So this is a proxy cache for Docker Hub. So I want to pull an image from Docker Hub, and it should go through the proxy cache. So the assumption is that I don't have connectivity to Docker Hub. Right? I'm trying to hit the proxy cache allows you to hit a registry that is otherwise off limits to me. And so the proxy cache will pull it down, cache it, and then push it down to the client. So assuming I don't have access to Docker Hub, I can do this basically. So I will do the Docker pull. Then I type in the proxy cache name. And let's assume I want to pull Envoy. So right now there's nothing here. So what this should be doing is that Harvard should be pulling it down from proxy cache, from Docker Hub, and then caching it, and then the client will pull it from the cache. So it's been pulled down from the proxy cache. You can double check. So 413, that's when it was pulled. Yeah, so that's how it works essentially. Couple of things to notice. So you can set the proxy cache projects. Okay, it's just like a normal project. You have access to all the other features here, like you can manage your members, use tag retention, tag immutability, webhooks, everything. So right now there is no default tag retention policy set. You have to configure a tag retention policy as you would for a regular project, but we're thinking about adding like a default number of days for images to be able to exist in a proxy cache before it's automatically deleted, just to keep the proxy cache pretty lean. And so also the images that you can pull through your proxy cache, that depends on your entitlement. The entitlement for the account for that endpoint, right? So if we look at how we create a proxy cache, or if you look at how you create a register endpoint, you have to type in your access ID and your access secret So you can only pull the projects that are visible to you on Docker Hub and not somebody else's, right? So if it's a private project for one user, it's not available to another user, for example. Any questions so far? Just on what it is, what it's supposed to do, and how it works. So that's basically the proxy cache. I think of things that needs to be improved right now. Like I was playing with it a little earlier. The logs are a little spotty right now. It doesn't refresh, and if there is no timestamp for the log. So we should be recording all the actions for the pulls from the proxy cache, right? So we should be recording the pull from the client on the proxy cache, or we should be recording the pull from the upstream registry to the proxy cache, as well as push down to the client. So you can see that it's a little buggy right now. And then the behavior is such that every time you pull from the proxy cache, it'll sync with the upstream to make sure it pulls the latest. So if that image has changed, if the digest has changed, the proxy cache will refresh and pull down the latest version of that image before it's served to the client. And if the image is no longer found on the upstream, then the proxy cache will not serve the request to the client. So that's all I had to share for the proxy cache. Any questions, comments?
This is really cool. Thanks for doing a demo of it.
No problem. Yeah, it's something that a lot of people have been asking. Right now, it's only limited to being a proxy for Docker Hub and Harbor, but we'll expand that list of proxy target endpoints. And you can proxy for just about anything right now, like any OCI artifact that's supported in Harbor. But that's also limited by what is supported on that remote or upstream registry, right? So essentially, Docker images, contracts, and everything else that's supported in Harbor right now, OPAs, CNAPs, etc. Okay. So yeah, there is a build out. I will post it on the meeting notes here. There is a build that you can test if you're interested. And I think 2.1 comes out around the GAs around third week of August, right around time to KubeCon. All right, if there are no more questions, we can give 10 minutes back to everyone. Thanks for attending, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.